3A and 3B. So first, I think 3B is easier. 3B is the flavor where the parameters receive at the UE. So here we are assuming that it's from network to UE. So receive at the UE, they are directly used for inference at the UE without offline engineering, right? I mean, this may involve some simple on-device operations, and of course that should be allowed. But then otherwise, the assumption is that here, I mean, of course, mainly we are referring to the the transfer of the encoder parameters, because the encoder is what's used at the UE, and then the expectation is the UE uses them for inference. So that's 3B. 3A is that so what's transferred, what's exchanged to the UE side is for the purpose of offline engineering. So for example, what's transferred to the UE side, it could be the the decoder parameters, not the encoder parameters, or it could be so in this option, or it could be encoder parameters. So we have both options open at this point, but then the expectation is the UE side takes it and then could redevelop or retrain the model and compile and test. And then at some point that will be loaded to the UE and then used for inference.
So indeed, my understanding was the distinction between the two is that 3B is the network that transfers the encoder parameters to the UE, whereas in 3A, the network transfers the decoder parameters, and then the UE does the training of the encoder by itself. So why can we not formulate it in a clearer way like that?
Yeah, so we have the next proposal where now we talk about even further sub-options of the encoder transfer and decoder transfer. In this proposal, we are just simply, defining these two sub-options based on whether this is for immediate inference or for offline engineering. Yeah, you understand whether this is encoder, decoder yet? That comes in separate.
Thank you. Yeah, the way it's worded right now in 3A, it doesn't really seem to say what the intention seems to be, because it just says that there is some offline engineering. But offline engineering could happen regardless of any of these options. So you could have offline engineering in 3B as well. So
no, but please take a look at the next proposal, because I mean, it's a long proposal, so it's divided into two pieces. In the first part here, we are just defining options. In the second part, we'll have more details for each of the sub-options.
Yeah.
So spec-wise, I think what is only can be seen at the network is a time scale, right, between the 3A and the 3B, or maybe 5A and 5B. Or do you also intend to have other difference, like I need to additionally share you some like a model or model structure, etc. For additionally for 3A? What is the purpose?
So that will be to be discussed in the next proposal. I think we have more details. For 3B, I mean, it will be encoder parameter. For 3A, it could be either encoder parameter or decoder parameters, and there may be some additional more information. So they are mentioned in the next proposal. Again, at this point, we are just defining sub-options.
So the time scale is not the only difference in your intention, right? So the major difference is offline versus directly plug and play, right? Okay, thanks.
Yeah, but to my understanding, the parameters received at UE side is used directly or based on UE implementation. Some kind of offline engineering is just for the UE implementation. The multi-vendor, unless the multi-vendor knows the offline engineering, how to do that, that is what is the why we separate the 3A, 3B cases on that. Because based on the UE implementation of offline engineering, 3B is also used based on the parameters, used directly or some kind of UE implementation modification on that. Why we separate two cases on that?
Because I mean, again, this is to facilitate the discussion because the subsequent discussions are different, very different. Because if we focus on 3B, it's an encoder parameter transfer that becomes model transfer case Z4, then maybe the main discussion could be, hey, is it really feasible at the device side and how do we make this feasible? I mean, it will be that line of discussion, right? But then if we look at 3A, the offline flavor, then now it becomes possible to give the decoder parameters. I mean, we could also give encoder parameters. So there are these two sub-options. And then since this is not for immediate use, and there is less feasibility concern at the device, from the device, capability point of view. And then it may be longer time scale, right? So there are different implications. And then maybe there could be some additional helpful information that the network side could provide to the UE side to facilitate the UE side offline engineering. So again, this is to facilitate further discussions.
Yeah, thanks for the clarification. But yeah, depending on the consequence proposals, it either be feasible or not. But because the proposal is in itself, it is very ambiguous to differentiate the two options on each option. Thank you.
Chen-Xi.
Thanks. Just trying to reply to LG. So basically, the reason we list all the options is to explain what will happen at UE side after the model or parameter is transferred. And then based on a good understanding of how things will go in, we will identify what is the spec impact. For instance, like Tae-sung explained, time scale difference may not be the only difference between 3A and 3B. Maybe also for the signaling that exchange the parameter and the model, they will be also different. For instance, 3B is just over the air, and the 3A may be some other flavors, like because anyway you will connect to the communicate with the UE side server. Maybe there's some other ways to transfer the parameter from the network side to UE side. So I guess we will finally identify what is the spec impact, including 3A and the 3B. So, but now just trying to find a good understanding among the group, right?
Do you need a more offline time? The issue have been clarified. Filippo. Okay. Yeah.
I think for the retraining or redevelopment are just examples of offline engineering. Right? Before the potential, can we add an example? For example, blah, blah, blah.
This one.
Yeah, before 4, sorry. For example, for potential, blah, blah, blah. I think that is, to clarify the difference of what we are gonna do for the A series. Comma, for example, for potential, blah, blah. And also apply it for the 5A. Apply the same change. Yeah, before 4, yeah, that's it. And also for option 4, yeah. Yeah, thanks.
Amira.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. For option 4, it says retraining redevelopment, but that's about dataset transfer, dataset exchange. What does retraining redevelopment means? Maybe you don't need that example.
Yeah, so for the option 4, yeah, yeah, the example should be different. Offline engineering at the UE side, e.g., model training and or offline testing.
Yeah, maybe rather
So,
simple.
For option 4, the example given at the end,
What?
yeah, so e.g., so instead of,
Here.
yeah, we can delete retraining, redevelopment of a different model. Instead, we can just say training a model, model training and or offline testing.
Remove this one.
Yeah, so remove retraining,
Just leave
Yeah,
offline
remove
testing.
retraining, redevelopment of a different model. Yes. And then instead say model training and or offline testing. Yeah, for model training and or offline testing. For
That is offline engineering, right? Means offline engineering includes model training and the offline testing, right?
Yeah.
So why? So it seems that we don't need a 4.
e.g. for model training, e.g. Oh,
The
okay.
grammar is not correct.
Okay, yeah. I think that's fine. And then I think we also need some editorial change needed. So for option 5B, so this purple text that was added into option 3B, that should be repeated for option 5B. The potentially with on-device operations that you find on 3B, purple text in 3B.
Same, you mean the same.
No. So now different comment.
5A,
So
5A.
If you look at option 3B, if you look at option 3B, so that there is a purple text potentially with on-device operations in option 3B. No. Yeah, potentially with on-device operations. So that should be copy pasted into option 5B. Yeah, and then another comment is that so at the end of 3B and 5B, so there is some parenthesis saying assuming such UE capability. So that's meant for the entire sentence. It's not meant for the last phrase. It's meant for the entire sentence. So the way that it's written currently is a bit misleading, I would say. So yeah, so maybe we can move the assuming such UE capability, move the whole thing right after inference at the UE side.
Remove to which part? Move to which part? Where to move?
Yeah, so I think maybe we can just remove it because we are just defining. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yes, and then so there is on 3A, e.g. UE side OTT server, so that should be copied into 5A.
Similar as this one, right?
No, that one's fine. Yeah, but then there is a e.g. UE side OTT server. In
e.g.
3A,
UE side, which
in 3A,
modify which part? 5A.
No, in 3A.
3A.
Yeah, so there is e.g. UE side OTT server in the purple color.
UE side.
Purple color, e.g. UE side OTT server.
Yeah, UE side OTT. Yes, one.
Yeah, so that should be copied over into 5A. And also option 4. Yes. Thank you.
Wang Xing.
Thank you, Chair. Just for clarification between about the boundary between the 3 and the 3B. So in some cases, there are also some on-device operations that are time-consuming. So in this case, for 3B, we also can't achieve the plug-and-play manner. So in this way, such case belong to 3B or 3A. So
Please, Wang Xing, in last meeting's discussion about our options, please, there is no clear boundary between each other, right? Some even will be mixed. We perhaps not necessary to discuss so clear about the boundary. It is just hope to facilitate a discussion, not to define the category.
Yeah, I think in this way, the boundary between these two cases is about the latency, not whether online or offline operations engineers are involved.
Okay.
I would say that if you get the parameters and use them directly as your encoder, then it is 3B or 5B. If you use that parameter as a reference and develop something, then it is 3A and 5A. Yeah, so like, but if the parameters are as you get similar, then it's 3B and 5B. At least one.
Paul?
I think the key difference here, why we add that on-device and ODD server, is that is in understanding the very key and essential difference between 3 and 3B. In 3A, it means very complicated retraining, redevelopment of a model, and then that must be done in server. But then 3B it directly means receives the parameter. You can directly do it on device and then apply on device. But it not necessarily mean the only thing is you just use the parameter received from network side. You can still do some minor operation on device. It's possible from 3B, current 3B description.
Philip.
So I was thinking of the case where it's the network side that is specified, so the decoder side. I assume this classification applies also to that case where the decoder is specified. So in that case, only the version A of these sub-options, I guess, is applicable, because if we specify the decoder and then, for example, the parameters of the decoder are transferred from the network to the device will not be able to use a plug-and-play approach. It will have to train the encoder based on the fixed decoder. So is that the understanding that this classification applies also to the case when it's the network side that is specified, the network mode, the decoder?
In the next proposal, I guess T-Sync has that 3A can be decoder transmitted or encoder transmitted.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have a question about 3B, whether the parameters are transferred to the offline manner or over the air, or is all include. Okay.
Okay, anything else? Huaning?
I think in FeatureLead's original proposal, there was a note saying that the discussion for simplification purpose will only define from the network to the UE, and it doesn't preclude from the UE to network side. So there was original note, and I think feature lead capture that note in the next agreement. I suggest to copy the note. Yeah, copy to the first agreement to cover the definition as well. Yeah, this note.
It's load.
Yeah, the last note. And copy, just the last one. Yeah, copy it to the definition so we get this cleared. It doesn't mean that we're prioritizing which one either way.
Which one? Sai.
If my understanding is correct, option 3, 4, 5 is getting either model parameters or data from network to UV. Okay, network side to UV side. So if the main purpose is that network side has a better parameter control and it train the model on those things, and then it gives to the UV for further either inference or something. If it goes under offline engineering and the model parameters or model is updated, does it still serve the purpose of getting the model from network? So because my main agenda is to take the model from the network because he has a better controller. The purpose of getting a model from network is that still achieved if I do the offline engineering? That's the main question I have.
I mean, yeah, I mean, in the ideal world, if we can just take them, let's say, encode the parameters and use it for inference, then yes. I mean, that's 3B and 5B. Okay, that's 3B and 5B. But then that may not be feasible. That might not be feasible. And then in 5A and 3A, so we are generally talking about, sequential network first sequential training, where network side trains the reference encoder and then its own private reference decoder and then private encoder first, and then may share the decoder, reference decoder to the UE side to enable the second step of the sequential training at the UE side.
That kind of information is not here now. It sounds generic and then it sounds very generic. And I don't know if my understanding is correct because there's a lot of it.
Again, it's a definition. Please take a look at the next proposal that has more details. So this one is building upon the previous definition of option 3, and then saying there is 3A and 3B depending whether there is offline engineering or not. We are not saying anything more here.
So can we add, after example, can we add 4, because data set will be used for these examples, they not generate the data set. Yeah. After example, we should that example, we should say 4 potential returning, and here 4 because these are not generating data set, and here we are saying the data set goes through, and it looks like these examples are generating data set. What data set?
That is offline engineering means this one, right? That is the example. Fred, don't make such kind of comments again. Please, don't make such kind of comments any longer. Okay, let's get it agreed. Suzuki?
Question for clarification, rather, option 3B and 5B is that directly used without offline engineering, but offline engineering is debating at the time of directly received time. I mean that offline engineering may be carried out before to that the receiving transmission. That is not excluded. So that even that 3B, 5B, there is actually 2 options that really standardized kind of operation, or that kind of offline is carried out, and then that each model or parameter is that each individual terminal specific operator vendor specific kind of thing is given. That's both is my understanding.
So if we say, if we add subsequent offline engineering everywhere. Okay, yeah.
Mhm. Okay, let's get it down. 3, 2, 1. Okay, thank you very much. Let's move to the second one.
So yeah, so this is the really main part of the proposal. Now that we have a definition.
But just last one used 30 minutes. Like.
Yeah, so let me first clarify the intention a little bit. So for this meeting, companies did a lot of analysis.
I just
for-
want to have a check. Any companies absent from the offline discussion on these issues? It is a long proposal. I don't want to have such kind of discussion without any offline discussion. Also, or some companies say I did not attend it. Only you absent, right?
No, there was no official offline on this. Not official, right? There may be some corridor discussion that we missed, but there was no official.
No official discussion, offline discussion on his part, right?
I mean, there is no unofficial offline, so no official offline time allocated today, right? But then I announced yesterday that we're going to have a unofficial offline at 8:30, and then there is a 2.5 hours discussion outside this room.
How many companies see his proposal? It is the first time you read the proposal. How many companies? How many companies? It is the first time for the companies to read the proposal.
I mean, so there is an update based on the discussion in the morning. So that updated part could be new to some companies.
Okay, let's do that. Have a try one by one. Not let's just ring. For each one, anything controversial or any update from morning's version? Please have a check. Have you found anything different from his morning's session, his morning's version?
Yeah, so I think the last additional information, the performance target, feature lead, please clarify the intermediate SGCS calculation. So basically that's a UE side to calculate it.
Yeah, so this one is it's mainly applicable for the case when the network side shares the decoder with the UE side. So in that case, since the decoder is available, then UE side can look at the final SGCS, right? While UE side develops its encoder, UE side can see the final SGCS. So the and that in that sense, if the network side can share some performance target based on their first step of the training, right? Because network side trains their private encoder with the reference decoder, and then they have the validation loss, test loss from the network side. So that number could be shared to the UE side as a guidance or maybe the requirement or the target that with the new encoder that UE side comes up with, shall meet or try to meet that target performance.
Yeah.
Just want to get some clarification on this option 381 and 382. these two bullets. So let's assume the network side shares the CSI generation part, the encoder to the UE side. So by definition, option 3A1 and 5A1, that needs to be exchanged from network side to UE side, right? Yeah, okay. And then if we go to the third sub-bullet for target performance testing at the UE side, the UE needs to derive the intermediate SGCS. And for that, the UE will need the CSI reconstruction part, the decoder part as well. So in this case, it seems that both options needs to be shared, needs to be supported. That means the network side needs to send not only the CSI generation part, but also the CSI reconstruction part to the UE side. Is that the correct understanding?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, both could be shared, but then, I mean, if that, performance target is important, then network could share CSI, I guess CSI reconstruction part only, then go with 3A2 or 5A2. If you go with 3A1 and 5A1, then it's not clear what, you can do in terms of, understanding the final target without the decoder.
So basically, if the network side shares if the model transfer for option 5A and 3A is that the network transfers the CSI generation part, it means that the network side also need to send the CSI reconstruction part to the UE side for performance target check. And if we go for another solution, that means the network side just transfer the CSI reconstruction part, then probably the CSI reconstruction part will be sufficient, both for the UE to develop its encoder and for performance target, right? So for both options, it means that the network must send the decoder to the UE side. Is that correct?
No, again, I mean, you could go with option 3A1 or 5A1, and then, maybe and there is no target given to the UE side.
Okay, so you mean there is no need for the UE side to check the performance because there is no target performance check. Is that what you mean?
I think that will be kind of the downside. I think that will be kind of the discussion of the 3A1, 5A1 flavor. Then, if we go with 3A1 and 5A1, then how does the UE know whether the trained model has a good performance, right? So I think that should be discussed. At this point, I mean, it doesn't mention anything what we should do in this proposal.
So you also want to capture the solution that you have option 3A and 5A, but there is no guarantee or no performance target to check the models developed at the UE side.
I think companies can bring proposals, whether, I mean, it's possible just to look at the latent and, maybe that could be a good indicator. I think there are some discussion, I think it was from Nokia this time. Or other companies saying that loss in the latent is a good indicator of the final SGCS. Again, it's just one component analysis. Don't know whether that's workable or not, but I mean, it should be discussed.
But here, okay, is it possible to combine the two?
I think it's very important to check the performance, to have mechanisms to check the performance of the developed two-sided models. And to do that, it is important to support this performance check. And if that is the case, then it means that for this option 3A and 5A to work, the network side must send the decoder to the UE side. I think this is an important thing to.
Jingjing, I'm not sure my understanding is correct or not. If these two options are supported, for example, I'm not sure, if it is supported individually, at least the combined procedure can be supported, right?
Yes,
so
yes,
that is,
so
in this sense, it is just categorized into two options. That is for discussion as to how to combine them. could be a separate discussion. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's very important for, I think, for us to notice that this option 3 and 5A, to make sure this interoperability check is supported, we will need somehow to send this decoder to the UE side.
It seems still
If it's
quite,
okay to the group, we could add a third option where both are exchanged, both encoder and decoder.
I know, but I think that from a procedure point of view, if it is if a procedure includes 2 components, but each component will be defined or studied, of course, the 2 component procedure will be quite later be supported, right? That is anyway. That is generation part could be sent, could be exchanged. Construction part can be exchanged, of course. These 2 components can be exchanged in some sense, right? Filippo, you have a different understanding?
Yeah, we would also be supportive of that. I think a third option with exchanging both encoder and decoder, because if we list those 2 options, they may be mutually exclusive or not. So in this case, we are saying that they're not mutually exclusive. So we either put a note saying that they're not mutually exclusive, or we add a third option.
Yes, I think that could suggest not exclusive each other. Before I add this load, I would like to check anything else left. I don't want to, after my editing, doing more hands-on area. Okay, let's one by one. This one. Focus on. Is to bullet any controversial issues. Is to bullet any controversial.
It's just one minor editorial, since we are discussing exchanging both encoder and decoder, but then that sentence says either CSI generation or reconstruction part. So
model
we can say either CSI generation or reconstruction part, or both at the end.
At which part?
At the end of the second bullet.
At either.
Yeah, either CSI generation or reconstruction part, or both.
Anything controversial for us to put it? No?
Yeah, and then don't need to list it, each kind of option is needed, not needed. The second bullet is enough to cover all the options on that.
Yeah, maybe we just list the option in the note saying they are not mutually
I
excluded.
think that why we list it here, perhaps just for facilitating the following discussion, right? Just yeah, that is either CSI generation or reconstruction or both. That is give option term to it. Okay, so then we don't need this load, right?
No, sorry, Chairman. If we remove the note, then in the bracket.
That is included all both here.
No, I mean, if we don't list the options, then in performance target bracket, there is a mentioning of 3A-2, 5A-2, then we don't know what it is. So maybe you can just list the options. That should be
give
fine.
you another option.
3A-3, 5A-3, model parameters exchange from network side to UE side. It's both the generation part and the reconstruction part.
Yeah, and then we should add on the performance target line, we should add option 3A3 and 5A3.
Performance part?
The first sub bullet, performance target. No, the several lines below. Several lines below.
Here.
No, up, yep.
This one.
Yeah, performance target. So there are examples like option 382, 582. We need to add 383 and 583. And 383 as well.
But it's only A.
382, 383.
382, 383. Okay. Okay.
382, 383.
I understand.
582, 583. Yes.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. So, Tesang, I have one question. We have these levels, 3A1, 3A2, blah, blah. And then we have another note, right? That says the parameters or the model can be from UE to the network. Then how do we interpret the levels?
How many people can hear you, Amiha?
Oh, sorry. I'll speak up, sorry. So we have these labels for the sub-options, but they are defined from network side to the UE side, right? And then we have another note that says the parameters or the models could be from UE to the network. Then shall we understand 3A-1 as model or parameter exchange from side to network side is CSI generation part or the reverse? So it complicates the discussion, I think.
The intention is that I think because I think many companies are focusing on the exchange from the network side to UE side. So the intention is that hey, let's focus on that flavor for the discussion. So we don't need to discuss UE to network exchange. Rather, for the discussion purpose, really focus on network to UE exchange. But then we have the final note just to clarify that it doesn't mean that in the final standards we deprioritize UE to network already. That's open.
I see. So these labels do not apply to UE to network. I see. Okay.
David?
Yeah, thanks, Chairman. From the discussion, I'm still confused on this performance target for 3A-2. And since for option 3, actually, we only, in the previous meeting, in the definition of option 3, only the parameter are exchanged, right? Yeah. For option 3, in previous meeting, only the parameter are exchanged. So in such case, how can the UE check the performance target? No, the UE only have the encoder, right? So if UE check the performance target, it means the UE has to implement the decoder, right? But the decoder is not.
But guys, I guess it should differentiate some of the discussion here. It is just to help us to organize the discussion, not to say which is applicable, which is not applicable. But, which is more beneficial, which is not more beneficial.
I just want to.
I think finally, perhaps we need to do some down selection or more work on it. Currently, we are not to verify or justify which is more beneficial. It is just to help us to carry out the following discussion. If you want to do down selection, of course, please have a try if it is favorable.
The Can we capture in the bullet that with potential down selection, something like that?
That is quite literal, right?
Why?
Okay, Deputy.
Thanks. So for the fourth bullet, towards the end, we are talking about and provide performance guidance / requirement. And sub bullet talks about performance target. I guess we understand the intention here, but which kind of overlaps with the, in this context with model LCM as well, providing guidance. But when we say requirement, that kind of complicates how to interpret requirement versus target. So perhaps maybe better to remove that last part. And do we really need that and provide performance guidance / requirement? We could just say additional information and then we have the sub bullets. Because requirement, typically this would be interpreted as a minimum requirement. But if we are talking about a target, then these are different things.
Means here is one.
So yeah, there we are saying target, but in the previous bullet, we are saying requirement as well.
It means you align.
Yeah, do we need that part? Can we, maybe Tesang can clarify.
I think if we remove the requirement, we just say performance guidance, I think it should be okay.
I cannot see you. Peng?
For the whole last bullet, that it explicitly states that these contents need to be shared between two sites for 3 and 5A. We're not sure whether they are appropriate to direct state that they are shared at this stage. We hope we can make the whole bullet further static point that even for 3 and 5A, we can additional information. The following additional information can be further studied to whether to share from that side to help UE to offline engineering. We are not sure.
I cannot hear your comment really, please. What's your comment? Please speak louder.
We would like to change it to further study whether this additional information need to be shared from network side to UE side. This right now directive states that this is obviously needed for this 3 and 5A. It's maybe shared, but it states shared.
Which? What's your concern, Paul?
The last, some additional information for that bullet. We would not to directly state that at this stage that they are directly shared from network side to UE side. We would like to state that study whether some additional information may be needed to be shared from network side to UE side.
It is just for us how to organize the discussion.
No, this one is not how to organize.
Which one?
Some additional information in a sub bullet.
Which sub bullet?
Some additional information. Yes, this. Yes. This one, it's explicit states that one need to be shared. We would like to state that these information that need to be shared need to be studied.
That is for further discussion.
Yes, this is not for discussion purpose. This is for description of a 5A and a 3 that this information would definitely need to be shared.
Nothing wrong with this one. What's your concern? Your concern on additional information, right?
These information, whether they need to be shared or not, can be further studied. It's not directly states that it may be shared. It's not for discussion purpose.
The umbrella is that as a further discussion.
Yes, but why do we have these assumptions here right now?
This assumption just facilitated the discussion.
It's not only this information is shared. Why it's only for discussion purpose?
That is just for discussion.
So that's our understanding that we don't need to have such assumption right now at this stage. 3 and 5A, we directly state what they are. These are the further discussion categories. And then
do you think that the way we can avoid to discuss this additional information in this option 3A, 5A?
Then can we change it to some additional information to be considered? It's not direct states that may be shared from a.
I will leave it to you if you really like this discussion. I don't think that it is really critical issues, right?
But
come on.
Why do we have to say
almost use that all the time?
This, in fact, also relates to ran4 discussion on the testing. Why would we have to have such assumptions in ran1 right now at this stage?
Which is ran2,
performance target? That's a ran4 assumption, right? What is the performance of the model shared? And what is relationship with post deployment testing?
Where is the performance testing here?
The reason why we share the performance target is to facilitate this the performance guidance or performance requirement
this is somehow involved together with what we are discussing ran1 with this post-deployment testing. We are fine for company to study this, but we do not prefer to directly state that these may be shared from network side to UE side. These of course can be further studied.
Let me remove this one. That is anyway to be a further discussion.
No, some additional information to be studied.
Shared from this one. That is to study this one. Just study is additional information shared from this one.
Then we make it clear. Study some additional information.
No, that is currently just for further discussion.
But that's not the understanding from the group. If you write it like
Yeah,
this,
that is exactly.
there will be future
comment.
confusions.
Wahid.
But what can we?
Wahid. Next comment.
But what is understanding of the current?
No
bullet?
problem. I think that I will catch up. Well, I will take another comment.
Does it answer your concern if we put some example at the end? Some additional information shared, and instead of this bullet, we say, for example, this. Which it could be these, it could be like something else, or it could be nothing. Maybe at the end, instead, like at the end of this like sentence says, for example, these two.
Where you
maybe
see
shared, yeah, maybe shared, and then for example, because we don't know about like if these two are the best cases or not. So maybe we put for example here.
No, I think that
because
please,
currently it
please
says
focus
that
on
yeah,
really
because,
critical issues.
Yeah, because it says that performance guidance can be happening only using these two, which we didn't.
That is just an assumption, right?
But so
that is just assumption.
No, but like it says that for some additional information shared
I don't
for
want
performance guidance,
I
which is
really
these two.
appreciate your don't take such kind of endless discussion. Suzuki-san?
For that part, my interpretation was share, meaning not necessary to be that exchange. But I think maybe specify or something that at least same understanding shares is the intention of my reading. In this sense that I think any option can be covered because with term shared. And without something that the target or data set exchange, then that you cannot check that whether that offline engineering is carried out correctly or not. In this sense, such kind of information need to be common understanding. Whether given the offline shared or not, it's separate discussion.
Yeah.
I think the controversial part is whether there must be some additional information. So can we soften the tone that some information, if necessary, comma, blah, blah, blah. I don't think, to be honest, this additional information is the key of this this direction, this solution 3A and 5A. Maybe there are some additional, some assistance to make it better, but I think that is not, may not be mandatory. So at this stage, we can say add some, if necessary, right? Some additional information, blah, blah, blah. How about we take it in this way? Not sure. Yeah, then I have one more comment on the first sub-bullet. So for the performance target point, I think in our understanding, actually all of the options you may send some performance target, even including 3A-1 and 5A-1, because in that way you can send only the SGCS or something or an MSE only for the CSI generation part. So that way is also workable. So I think we don't need to list the options. We just say, for example, intermediate SGCS, then remove for option blah blah till the end of the round bracket. I think that is more open. Yeah. So remove the options. Only in the round bracket of a performance target, we only say, for example, intermediate SGCS. I think that is enough. That is more generic. Yeah, it's also fine. Yeah, I think for yeah, I think
Hello.
it's also fine. Yeah.
But
I think we should keep at least intermediate SGCS. It clarifies what examples we are talking about. Yeah.
for each part, agreeable or not? Still not? I gave up, sorry. Next one. And let's move to another, to positioning. Kesa. Sorry, huh? It's 1 hour. I cannot hear you clearly.
I mean, so can you at least check if there are any major comments or like only editorial, right? I think we spend a lot of time, so we'd like to make an agreement on this one. Can you check the temperature? Like nothing major. Yeah, so I think what Ericsson is just clarification that the intermediate SGCS here means the the SGCS. Yeah, just I think clarification here that intermediate SGCS, their SGCS means the SGS of the encoder and decoder combined. I think that's how we use the term.
This one.
So yeah, I mean, I don't think we need any modification here. It's just clarification of what that means. SGCS. SGCS refers to the SGCS of the encoder and decoder combined. I think that's a common understanding. Just wanted to clarify that.
So, Mr. Chairman, just intermediate SGCS of the encoder decoder combined. Just add that text.
Then if it is really, I will remove this one.
No, just this one.
I remove this one if it is still not clear.
Just a clarification purpose.
Yeah. Remove this one. I'm not.
So can you say intermediate SGCS of encoder decoder combined? encoder slash decoder combined. No, no, encoder slash decoder combined. Combined encoder decoder.
Okay, slash.
SGCS of encoder decoder combined. Or
Encoder
combined
decoder combined.
Yeah. I mean, if Huawei wants, Huawei can give, add other examples.
I understand what. No, it's not only combined, right? It could be encoder slash end-to-end, right? Encoder only. That is for -1. Yeah, option 3A.
That is encoder, decoder, all combined. Okay, this is waiting. Slash.
I think we don't need a decoder. Yeah, encoder or end-to-end.
Huh?
Encoder or end-to-end. That's enough. We don't need a decoder only. Right? Because UE side doesn't train the decoder. You only train the encoder. Right? Or you compare for option 3A-1. Yeah, I know this is 3A, right? You just transmit the structure. The parameters, you don't know the parameter, right? Then you, so why do we need it? I think we don't have a quick answer right now today. So that is why I suggest that we remove everything after SGCS. I think people are very clear. What ambiguity?
So can you just add another example? I think maybe then Huawei may be okay. Keep that example, and then add another example.
Without the bracket. Without the example. Please give companies more time to look into it. Please, not the short. Not the try. Please. Without the example. Let's take it as a agreement. Right? I will label it as a so, Kesa, this one will not be touched again any longer, right? So you could please go ahead another discussion. Okay, thank you very much. If it
3460 is the next summary. Yeah. And it's section 9.3 is a proposal for discussion. Yeah, go to section 9.3 towards the end. Yeah. Yeah. So there, Yeah, the first one is actually it's a comeback of what we discussed in the morning. I checked around and let's try this TRP/GNOB, which should be acceptable by all. So we don't have to make it one way or the other.
Okay, just a quick check. If there's more comments, let's skip. If there are still more comments, I will skip it.
Yes, the answer is yes.
You said it okay or not?
No.
Huh? The same working assumption?
Because it's the working assumption that.
No, the one was case one, the other one.
Okay.
We were NG around because we don't need to select yet. It should be
No more time on this one. I don't know it will help anything if we have more time on this. If it is agreeable, let's agree on it. Otherwise, skip it. Final check, is it agreeable? Not?
Yes, okay.
Agreement? Okay.
Yeah, then the next one is a proposal that we edited in offline, unofficial offline. So it's not really perfect, but it's sort of 95% there. So yeah, so the intention is to describe more contents about what is being collected. So this is about in this one we talk about label data, and you will have two parts. One part is corresponding to the model input, and here we just simply call it part A. And there's another part that's corresponding to model output, and we simply call it part B. And each part have 3 components listed, and this is not meant to be limiting. So if more components need to be added, we can add in the future. And we also have a note to say that the part A, part B terminology does not really mean anything. It's only for ran1 discussion purpose. So it does not impact how ran2 or ran3 may decide the signaling or data structure or anything. So this is just for discussion purpose to describe the content that's being collected. And there's a comment that the last FFS should be changed to a note.
Comments?
Thanks for the proposal. I think overall we're okay, but this seems the main bullet we are saying includes at least the following components, but then I guess the intention as in this FFS/last note is that they may not apply for everything. So how do we reconcile?
Oh, okay. I can talk on behalf of what I heard from Qualcomm. For the last part, the intention to say, for example, for case 1, maybe the training data collection would be performed in proprietary way, so the part A and part B won't be visible in specification. That was the intention.
No, I was asking about this. So for instance, just a quality indicator of the label. Is it always, does it have to be there all the time? If a label is ground truth label is provided?
Yeah, the intention is yes. If it's going to be written in the specification, signaling, then yeah. So yeah, the intention is to describe the sort of the minimum amount of components that should be reported or reported as training data. Yeah.
Dick.
Yeah, now when we were having this offline discussion, this label in red font was not included. And now that it's included, I believe that this segmentation of part A, part B are not necessary. We are talking about labeled data. Labeled data should have both of them, measurements and labels. in general, my intention is to have a clean agreement. We have several nodes, FFS.
Yeah, thanks, Jeremy. It needs some clarification on that because this agreement is related to the collected data sample of label data. So why maybe UFA categories part A and part B is based on the existence of label, but it is already the label data. And what is the difference between the channel measurement with label, ground truth level? What is the difference on that? Yeah, what is the ground truth level means compared to the channel measurement?
Channel measurement is model input and ground truth label is model output.
Actually, I will comment regarding this label. So we have this last bullet saying FFS and part A or part B, and the count may or may not be applied. So basically, it's saying I think for some cases maybe they may only have part A, for some cases they may only have part B. Well, my understanding actually, I think most companies understand that it's if only contains part A, that's actually unlabeled data, right? So we don't need this red font like label data included there because it covers actually both. When we only have one part, that becomes unlabeled data. We have both parts, that's labeled data. So we don't need to have a separate treatment because in the specification we will not have this like tag saying this is part of labeled data, this is part of unlabeled data.
Yeah, I agree with Huaming on this. And then if we would delete the labels, then the labeled, and then if we also delete the at least, then we have part A and part B, and then we have the FFS in the bottom, which we could make a note, and then it would work fine, actually.
Only this one.
No. So if we delete the red, delete
one.
the red, please, and
Remove
the
it.
at least in the main bullet, a little bit later. May include, maybe you can suggest this, and then the FFS in the last row could be a note instead. Maybe you can have this made as a
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, this proposal and agreement helps us basically make good progress moving forward. It's a good starting point. The content in part A and part B, we may maybe add more, or maybe sometimes some content might not always be needed. So probably maybe we can say at the beginning, sample of data may include. This will give us more flexibility basically to, if needed, we can maybe like modify the content if needed. Thank you.
Yeah, same understanding with Mohammed, because in the previous version means that in case of part A, the triplet of the training information is at least should be needed. Yeah, that is your intention of that, because the part A can include subset of 3 sub-bullets. So it means that may include some kind of.
It doesn't make sense to collect something without measurement. I mean, maybe quality you can say it's optional, but the measurement
please,
are not optional.
Please.
Yeah, at least means the mandatorily.
Use the microphone. Use the microphone.
Oh, I was just saying that may include make it feel like all of the components are optional, but at least the channel measurement in part A and ground truth label in part B are not optional. They have to be there. So maybe we can say include, like cross out may, And then we can say quality, we can add optional to quality indicator and timestamp.
Could we say that can be?
Uh,
Can be.
But the channel measurement and ground truth label have to be there. If they don't exist, then it doesn't make sense.
That is fine.
Yeah, my comment was saying that the channel measurement and ground truth label are mandatory. They have to be there. Maybe the quality indicator and timestamp is where it can be optional. They may optionally exist.
Then if it is the case, I will leave it to you to continue to organize the format.
Okay.
Please.
Okay. Yeah.
I will leave it to you. I think there are something are mandatory, something optional there. That is, I use the same umbrella. That is just can be supported. I'm not sure whether you insisted such kind of discussion about mandatory or optional. Currently, it is. If from a specification point of view, anyway, optional and mandatory will be there, right? It is not a UE feature discussion. Why we said that is mandatory, is optional? Erickson?
Yeah, I think actually at least the first bullet for each part is in my perspective, it's a core component, while the rest is more like nice to have. So channel measurement and ground truth label would be the core of the measurement
report. I don't mind the nice to have or mandatory. That is can be. That is it. Just focus on what we want to support.
Yeah, we think that the
Use this one.
Yeah, this agreement is somewhat saying that all these components are needed for a data sample. I think whatever it can be, I think then there is some discussion on what is mandatory and optional. And there is also grouping of part A and part B. To my reading, the first agreement should be these are the possible components in the data sample. Then you can list down the options. Why to even group to part A and part B? No, that's a bit artificial to my reading, because for training data collection, for collected data sample can contain one or more of these components. Then we discuss what are the essential ones, non-essential ones, grouping of those. That's a secondary discussion.
So case you don't need to mind. Here there is a note said that part A, part B. It is just for purpose, discussion purpose. You don't need to mind it this way. The key part is that do we need to support is 6 metrics? Yes, that is how to categorize them. That is we not necessarily emphasize too much or highlight it too much. Right?
Yeah, let's try to delete this part A and part B. What's the wrong? Then the notes.
Oh, sorry. Just based on is from just based on is one.
So okay, if we are the only company, we are fine. But if somebody further discuss that, okay, we need
yes,
this and that.
Yes, I agree. Yes, just what is on the screen. If you still want to polish it or how to reformat it, I will leave it to you.
If you argue on this is needed, that is needed, that's mandatory, then we.
I was saying you want to reformat it. Thorsten, you want to reformat it?
Small comment. We are fine with it. Just a minor comment on the second last node part. I think the intention is that they may or may not be generated by different entities, right? Yeah. May or may not. Yeah. May or not. Yeah.
Chair.
Sorry that I have a comment on the channel management, because in the main bullet, we're talking about collecting data sample, but the channel management can be used to derive the data input, for example. So we want to say this channel management with or without post-processing, because it's not maybe directly having those measurement to be the data sample. You can still have a processing on the measurement and you being the data sample to be collected. So we suggest the channel management with or without post-processing.
It has already included all the possibilities, right? Could we just focus on what is on screen?
Should be.
With, without, cover all the cases, right?
Yeah.
But you only leaving channel management here, that means without.
With, without, post.
I can agree some companies will say that they can having channel management without post-processing. But what am I caring about is I want the channel management not directly go to data sample. I want post-processing this measurement and then go to data sample.
Erickson?
Thank you. I think what Samsung here is mentioning is more pertaining to pre-processing, I would say, at the model input, rather than what will be happening at the interface. So for us, this list here is basically what's coming through the interface. And then after that, you may have processing, you may not have processing. That's entirely up to the deployment or implementation.
Sorry, but the important thing is we are doing overhead reduction of if all the collection procedure or potential signaling. So that actually the things is that what are you going to transfer or what are you going to transmit about this data sample to be generated. We don't want to transfer the whole part of the channel management. For example, the over 256 CRs. That's not the case that we want to do.
Erickson?
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, to me, that's encapsulated in data measurement. Now you're talking about representation and formatting. That we can discuss further. I mean, the way this will be packaged and doing overhead reduction and so on in ran2, that's something else. But I still think it's called channel measurement. It's not processing per se.
In the digital?
Yeah, so since last meeting, we have been using the word terminology, channel measurements, to describe just generic. And it can be post or pre-processed measurements. So I think we should just go with channel measurements, just to be consistent with the terminology we've been using.
Jiehong.
Yeah, I understand the C's intention, but it is the following components. The channel measurement is the component. The processing or pre-processing is the second level detail on the channel measurement, to my understanding. So it is the which component is included in the collected data sample. So that is the part A, and channel measurement is the component on that. Yeah, it is the intention of the agreement.
Vicky.
Yes, thanks for Samsung's concern. I think we may change the channel measurement to channel measurement corresponding to model input, right? So, well, because we are having discussion about sample-based or path-based, if that's determined, and this can also be determined based on our previous discussion.
Thorsten. No? Qi?
Well, just to reply some of the comments saying that we are keeping using channel management. Yes, that's why every time I was asking the feature leader proponents in agreement saying the channel management to determine the model input. Because we think the channel management and the data sample, whatever, they have gap. they're not directly to each other. They can be directly to each other, but you can still have processing on that. Based on the comments like I received from companies that they are not preventing this one to do. This is also what I wanted. So I just, instead of changing the channel management, can we just add a note saying that this channel management can be post-processed to get the data sample. That's for every other, but this is for collecting data sample, right? That, I mean, that's okay, but can be post-processed or be processed anyway, it's okay too. Then just processed. I don't want to argue that. This to get data sample.
Can be processed?
To get data sample in the Maybullet.
It just sounds a bit weird. Said that the channel management can be processed. That is a map. Okay, I read it. Tick.
Only a clarification of this last note. This process or pre-processing, whatever. In terms of our current discussion of path-based, sample-based, is there any impact on this? What's the difference? Because our main target is channel measurements will be related to any of these options. But what do you mean with this process? It's an additional process further this
channel management to me is like the raw data that you get.
Yes, okay.
And then the raw data is not the data sample in our mind.
And your intention is to specify this output of this post-processing of the raw data?
But this is anyway for data sample. I want to prevent the case that always the data sample is always the channel measurement. Because again, I will emphasize, channel measurement is a raw data to me. We don't want this to be directly as the data sample to be collected. That's a huge impact on our storage.
Okay, maybe we need an additional discussion on this. Main companies are understanding this channel measurements, not necessarily the raw data.
Give me one example. The raw data that you have, you can do some.
In general, channel measurement, we are understanding we are talking about PDP, for example. We know that there is a pre-processing to get PDP, but we are understanding that this is a channel measurement. We're not talking about raw channel measurement explicitly.
But still, the channel management can be like the directly to 256 or even 2048 samples you get. That one, we don't want it to be data sample. We want to do whatever that optimization that it can be done to save the overhead of whether transmission or the storage of this data. Is that clear? This technology to do the processing may or may not be to be specified. But the point is, we don't want the raw data to be data sample. Is that clear, right?
Maybe follow-up question. So now we discuss channel measurement as a component without knowing what exactly carried in this channel measurement. So and the quality indicator, we make an agreement that there is a quality indicator without knowing what exactly this quality indicator.
But this is the three components were used to consist the data sample. For example, for one data sample, you will have at most, for example, the 6 of them. This is what I understand this proposal means.
Yeah, I think that the proposal should be the collected data sample of data can at least contain. I think you cannot say that channel measurement will contain in a data sample because channel measurement is not defined as for your definition. It can be raw, pre-processed or processed. You have to define that, right? Same applies for all other components. So basically details of these, each and every component is not defined yet.
So you are trying to say this is not actually channel management. Is channel management related information?
Maybe. At least group need to have a common understanding.
But this is, okay. Maybe other company or officially can explain what the channel management means here. But to me, if it's written as a channel management is a raw data, definitely can be explained as a raw data. If it's different, let's clarify, make it clear.
Yeah, you see to your attention, you said that the linkage between data samples and the processed and channel measurement.
That's also fine, yeah.
That is, I guess, that is your intention, right?
Yes.
So, I mean, if she's thinking the channel measurement means raw data, then we can say can be processed from raw channel measurement. Because right now we only talk about components. We haven't talked about mentioning anything, how we're going to transfer, how we're going to specify. We haven't decided whether it's timing or power or how many things. Why are we talking about those overhead things? The whole thing may not be specified. We spend so much time talking about overhead, talking about reduction. What's wrong with us?
This is the first step, right? You define these components. Next thing you would say signaling and transmission. Isn't it? So from the beginning, I think my intention is very clear. I don't want raw data to be there. So if you want to ease my concern, that you can have some suggestions.
So, Erickson, is it possible to go with this way? Data sample can be just one option.
I think
could be, but it does say that it is one.
To be honest, I think it's way too early to talk about processing since we don't have a definition. I think channel measurement here is a placeholder, and there is extensive discussion right now on how this channel measurement is represented, what it corresponds to. We have had this sample versus path definition discussion. So I would suggest to stick to what's in part A here, and just the note may just simply say that the exact definition, I guess is the best word, exact definition of channel measurement is for further studies, or it's for further discussions. I think this actually goes one step further, but I can leave it to someone else to comment.
How to map? That is a how to link map, please. Anyway, give me a precise description. I think that the intention is quite clear. Just hope to say how, in my understanding, is just how to link the data sample to the channel measurement. Okay, please.
So basically that, what is the meaning of raw channel measurement? That itself needs to be defined.
Which one?
Raw channel measurement. When we are talking about raw,
it is hard to define. So, maybe.
Yeah, I think, see, I tend to agree with Nokia's comment, and I think Florian has commented back. So these are just the labels as such. So definition, definitely we will discuss going ahead. I don't think that FFS anyway make any sense right now, because we are taking, I think we are going very far. Let's agree on this part A and part B first. Definitely we'll define channel. What do you mean by channel measurement? And any concern regarding it's a raw or maybe process can be addressed with the definitions. I think I think it's a time waste right now.
Clear, that is the relationship between the channel measurement and the data sample.
Just want to comment that the data sample here in the beginning is meant one sample that composed of many components, right? So the channel measurement is a component of the data sample. So I think Chi's comment is actually about the processing of the raw channel measurement. It's a Can we just say FFS the representation, the details of channel measurement?
I think that it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can live with this wording. How to map?
FFS details of the channel measurement. Details of the channel measurement.
Chair.
If that's the suggestion, I think channel management itself is not clear, right? Then we put a bracket on the channel management.
Okay, let's just consider this way. Take it seriously. How to map or how to link it depends on you. We have no time, really.
I mean, when you say how to link, you're basically saying the channel measurement and the data sample, there are two things, right? You want to have the link. But if you're talking about the data sample, I mean, channel measurement is a part of the data sample. That's not a link, right? It's a component. It's inside of it. So it's not like where FFS a link. So I think it's part of the details of the channel measurement. That's it. The link means you're saying two things. You want to link them.
Another suggestion is what the channel management related information.
Detailed metric of the channel management.
Metric is not a good word. Maybe.
Detailed definition of channel management. Acceptable or not?
I can live with it, but I think my intention has been clearly said, and I will continually for that discussion in the future discussion. I can live with the wording now, but I will keep on that position in the future.
Let's make it 3, 2, 1. It is agreed. Okay.
The correct data sample.
No
of
wording.
data.
I don't like wording. I don't like wording.
Remove of data, I guess. Remove of data. Remove of data. If we remove, if we remove the label, then we remove of data. Yeah. Yes. Or can include the following, or can be the following. Can be the following.
Yeah.
Can include the following. Yeah. Can include the following. Can include the following components. Yeah.
That is a last example. I don't want to revise the agreement we have made. No. Okay, let's move to the last agenda. It should be Fei Fei, right? Oh, Feifei.
So the TDL number is 3568. 68. Yeah. Okay, so in the meanwhile, when Xiaodong opening the document, so I would like to introduce the change. It's in the last session, session 8. Can we switch the positioning, guys, and the B management?
Guys, please come back to B management session.
So, okay, the first one, we have some offline discussion for this proposal.
On which
but
part?
Yeah, the
Which
first,
one?
this
This
221, yes. And there are some change I made offline because the motivation to delete this set B is for UE-sided model. The current definition of set B is the bin used for AI input. But whether all the measurements will be used for AI inputs is up to UE implementation. And on the other hand, the GNOB may configure to the UE some additional resource other than you request or other than the set B. So if that happens, I mean, that's it's just a measurement. I mean, the resource for measurement for inference. So that's the motivation to update. It's also applied for the later proposals. Okay, now going back to this proposal. So this means for UE-sided model for configuration of set A, it will take current CSI framework as a starting point, same as all others. But for inference, the set A may be implicitly or explicitly configured in the measurement report for inference. But the where means it doesn't mean all the resource for set A, if configured, require measurement. That's the whole intention.
Stable. Please, which company? NEC.
Thanks. This is E from NEC. We have two comments about, first is that about implicity or explicity. From our understanding, we're not sure what implicity really means. And the second is that from understanding that this bullet is meaning, the purpose of this bullet is to explain for the configuration of set A, and the sub-bullet is to show that in inference what the set A, how set A is configured. This content is kind of different from the words that were only resource for measurement for inference. If we really want to discuss the resource for measurement for inference, we can discuss it in a different not here, but in different place. So I think where only resource for measurement maybe not need to mention it here.
Feifei.
So right. First of all, I think I already explained. The reason is I highlighted for inference is because for inference, the configuration report, memory report configuration for inference may not need configure set A, the resource for set A. And we kind of in the middle of discussion about whether we say resource for set A configure or not, or how to configure this set A.
entirely thing is open. That will be discussed when we discuss the association. But this is just remind people that we may not need to configure set A in the report for set B.
If that purpose, I understand, but I still think we don't have to say that we're only resource, this kind of sentence here. I mean, of course, we can discuss it somewhere else. Okay. Or we can say like we're only resource for just delete the strike through, like
That
just
is,
use that B.
In last session, company said that if it is not for inference, perhaps the configuration is not needed.
Sorry.
Only for inference, it is needed.
Yes, that B.
But for training, it is not needed.
It's not needed.
Yes, that is why the moderators added such kind of restriction here. If it is configured, that is based on what kind of condition, under what condition it can be configured.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, generally okay with the direction. Two comments. The first main bullet, it's unclear what exactly the purpose. So there is configuration of set A. We take current CSI framework as a starting point, but that part, it's not fully defined for inference to my reading. So if somebody interpret this as for monitoring, it seems that's still valid. Training, it's valid. So that's not clarified, at least. Only inference part is clarified. So for inference, the second comment, set A implicitly or explicitly, we can discuss that one. But we think that it's not clear whether these both are supported or are we selecting one of them. Our suggestion is we need to select, we don't have to support both directions. Agreement is not saying that we need to select one of them. And also, it's not in the measurement report configuration, it's the report configuration.
Yes, that's.
So measurement should be deleted.
Yeah. So let me reply the first comment. I think the main bullet is for all purpose. If you want to speed that out to say for inference, I try to avoid listing all the purpose because we are not tasked to discuss about the data collection. That's why. So this is common for when it's needed. When there is a configuration of set A is needed, CSI will be the starting point. That's first. And the second comment about this set A implicitly or explicitly, my suggestion to resolve Keith's concern is add a FFS before the set A for the sub-bullets. And also delete the measurement report in the measurement, the wording of the measurement, to delete that one. Just say in the report configuration, if that is okay. No need to touch about the main bullet. I don't want to list.
I want to, I'm not sure if it can make it clear.
It's not for inference only, for all the purpose. Oh, no.
I just want to say, confirm.
It may not need it
May not
for
be
inference. It's entirely opposite direction. It may or may not need it.
May or may not need it.
Yes, for inference, at least for inference. That's why the sub-bullet is there.
That is, does not mean the implicit or explicit. It is configured, you said that. For inference.
No, for inference.
For inference, you said that set A is configured, right?
One solution is there is no need to configure anything for set A. But it can, from UE perspective, it can implicitly derive what is set A means by some other purpose, which will be discussed later. Yeah, that's. Maybe we can have a FFS for the subbullet. For this set A is implicit, which means it's open. Anyway, it's open.
For implicit, explicit is open.
Can be, yes, I think so. So FFS.
It means
No,
implicit or explicit.
for the entire bullet, subbullet, it could be a
Let me
FFS.
check. In this one could be FFS.
Yes, yes.
I think FFS is only implicit or explicit part. So you can put a bracket there and put FFS for those two options. We can keep the other text. So if you can put square brackets.
Put the word both in
yeah,
bracket.
Yeah, square brackets for this. So normally square bracket, we need to decide, we can add square bracket FFS implicitly or explicitly, then close the square bracket and other things remain the same.
Let's remove, just remove this one, it's configured.
That's not clear.
No, I think that anyway, FFS, it is
No,
configured.
it's
based on,
entire.
let's just, you can see this one.
Whether implicitly configured is a valid.
Hmm?
Implicitly configured in the report.
So it means implicit anyway could be supported, right?
If
Only
implicitly, there is no need to be configured in the report. That's the point. I want to keep that open. I mean,
keep both open or keep
Yes.
just the explicit open.
both.
That is FFS, right?
No, but the point is in the report, say A may not need to configure.
Let's click the more comments. Avik?
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. So now, after you made the edit to the sub-bullet, I am not sure it conveys the previous meaning. I think the previous meaning was that we were talking about resources associated with set B. Now, the second part of this says where only resources for measurement needs to be measured. That reads a little bit weird. I think we can maybe go back to the original version.
Why we have to mention the inference if that is the case? Then, Henrik.
I mean, inference is the key part here. And our view is we can only keep this FFS sub-bullet. So implicit FFS, implicit or explicit configuration of set A for inference. And then we remove the first sub-bullet.
Inference, implicit or explicit configuration
of
of measurement.
Set A for inference. Because also in the bullet above, we're talking about what measurement and what needs to be measured. But we should, the key here is what we configure.
Just remove this one.
Yes, remove this. Yeah.
Better? How?
We think to keep the one which is striked out is better. Basically, I think there is one thing. I mean, companies need to have common understanding. I mean, at least in our understanding for the final definition of say A in the final spec, set A basically means for UE side model for inference, set A basically means the candidate beams for your report. I mean, in legacy, the candidate beams for your report is the beams for your measurement. But as we have this AI-based prediction, the candidate beams for your report is different, is larger from the beams for your measurement. So then you have to have some configuration for say A to let the UE know your candidate beams for your report. So we think say A has to be configured. We can further discuss whether we can have some implicit way or some other ways to do the configuration. So this should be the baseline for this whole discussion. So we think for in the main bullet, we should remove if needed. Otherwise, it doesn't make any sense to have no configuration of set A at all.
Definitely, it is not necessary to configured in some cases, right? So what's wrong with the if needed?
My understanding is there has to be some configuration for say A. Otherwise, the whole thing doesn't work.
So why I said that for inferencer, each one should be configured? Avik?
Okay, so I think during the offline, I made a comment which kind of led to this wording here of set B measurement. So my initial comment was, whatever we do for configuration of set A, it doesn't mandate the measurement of all resources that are configured in set A. That was the main concern, because we are talking about legacy CSI framework where the configuration is for measurement resources. So whatever is configured is actually measured by the UE and reported. But I just wanted to make sure that when we say something like this, we are not mandating that using the legacy CSI framework, somehow it comes to a point where the UE is needed to measure all the resources on set A. So if this is confusing, we can maybe add a note and go back to that original version saying that not all resources in set A need to be measured. This does not imply that.
David?
Yes, thanks, Chairman. In the main bullet, we also think the text if needed should be removed. This is the UE side model. Even for the inference operation, the UE should report the inference results. So somehow, the set A information has to be configured to the UE. So no matter whether it is implicit way or explicit way.
Okay, no problem. I will remove it if you think that it is a correct one. I remove just for each one. This what is on the screen. It is a gray ball. No? Jim?
Yeah, I think I understand the intention, but the issue I have is what UE need to measure. We don't specify it in the specification. So that's the problem of the FFS. So my preference is to just keep the what Alex mentioned. This is much better, simpler, and we can just delete it. Yeah, I think it's talk about same thing, but we don't specify what needs to be measured in by the UE in BGPP. So. No, the last FFS is something key part, I think. How we gonna configure set A? No, the FFS you deleted.
I know, but it seems more and more confusing issues, right? Just
yeah, from where to the end, that's my key concern. So.
Do we need a list for inference? We don't.
Yeah, actually, if set A is explicitly configured, I can understand how to follow the current CSI framework. But if it's implicitly configured, I really don't see how so what is the current CSF framework to follow? Because for the current CSF framework, right? So we have a report configuration, measurement resources. So this part, I think it's is confusing. Yeah, I would prefer like a Xiaodong's previous version if needed, and then basically put everything as FFS1.
But
yeah, maybe someone can.
Anyway,
respond.
that is FFS. Both are FFS part. Jeffrey.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Since set A could be explicitly configured with some CSS resource or SSB resource, the last sentence saying that only resource for measurement of inference can be measured. It means some other beams, quite a lot of beam within set A, UE doesn't have to measure. So that saves UE quite a lot of overhead or measurement effort. Then why not we keep the last sentence to save UE's effort in measuring those other beams?
No way. That is, we cannot mention that it is a need to be measured. We cannot mandate the UE to do it.
May I, Mr. Chair?
No, please. Thank you. Case.
Yeah, on this set A implicitly configured, at least we understand some examples on this, but I think that sort of solution should not be the main solution at the end. So I assume that people who support this implicitly configured always support this. It's also configured, explicitly configured. So implicitly configured one is a optimization, I would say, just to reduce RRC configuration.
So
anyways, it's okay to decide.
Keep it simple. No, let's focus on what is on screen. Okay, let's take his watching. We don't which part?
Yeah, so like
Which part? Which part?
The
Clear.
main part, just add for inference, right? Because for data train, okay, let me explain. If this is for UE side model data training, we need to have actual measurement from set A. Otherwise, how do we collect data for training? So like if you are talking about in inference stage, you want to do implicit configuration, that's fine. We can consider that.
Can I explain it again? The main bullet is the configuration of set A. It's applied for all the purpose. If there needs a resource configuration for set A, the main bullet apply. But the issue is some company have concern if whether this configuration shall be in the report configure for inference or not. That is open.
But the one question is that it's also I'm wondering, Vivi, set A is implicit or explicit configured in report configuration for inference. It is FFS part. Does it mean for other purpose it is confirmed?
Yes, I think so. Yes, that's the
Is
main
it
bullet.
intention?
Yes.
For data collection and monitoring, I don't see any bullet saying anything. So it's open. You're only discussing inference.
Yeah.
That maybe adds this if needed back. I mean,
When you say CSI,
No, I don't want to.
it's
I don't want to.
a big scope. How exactly we use, let's say, data collection for UE side, monitoring of a UE sided model. Those things I don't see from this.
Okay, maybe we can say support configuration of set A as the main bullet, and then take this current CSI as a starting point, as a sub bullet, and then add a sub bullet of FFS if that resolve your concern.
So when we say current CSI framework, it's a significantly vast framework. We don't know what exactly we are talking about. I think to our understanding, set A or set B, we have to configure within a CSI report configuration. If the network require reporting of it. If network doesn't require reporting, if it is just for data collection, the existing framework is not allowing it. We need to discuss, even without report, do we have any mechanism that the UE has the measurements? So nothing is clear with the first statement to our reading. So what is only clear is for inference, you need CSI report configuration, you need set B there to measurements, you need set A for reporting. So that's the only clear part based on this proposal.
Ding. He's watching.
Keith, what do you want for the configuration of set A?
We can limit this to inference because there seems to be a kind of confusion with data collection.
And then we can move on to next proposal. I don't want to discuss inference only. I mean, using different framework. If that is the common understanding of the group, we can come back later. Let's move on. Let's move on.
Yeah, can I explain? For UE-sided data collection, do you need reports towards the
I don't know.
Why
Maybe
not?
not.
UE collects the data.
Yes, maybe not.
We just transmit RSS. UE doesn't need to report it back.
Yeah, I understand.
Legacy doesn't work.
I get your point. Let's move on. Now let's talk. Don't spend
I
time
think
on
that the
this.
general is that anyway, it's just a lot of discussions. We said that as to which purpose it will not be captured in the spec, right? The general.
I understand, Keith. It's a different story.
I know that is anyway. We need to support configuration. Does not matter it is for which purpose, right? But I have to admit, it's kind of wording really it is not 100% clear. I have to.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. That's why I suggest to move on. Or maybe we just say for UE setting model for configuration, we support the configuration of set A and then delete all of them. And how is FFS?
Why don't you like to limit this to inference? It's a clear proposal for inference.
No.
No? Okay.
Let's move to next one. Yeah, I get the point. Yes, we still have 15 minutes.
Okay, let's please calm down and ring.
Right, this one. The next one.
This one.
It's about this. Both of them. Maybe take both of them together. One is for say BM case 1. One is for BM case 2.
Do you think that we can resolve it in 50 minutes?
I think so, hopefully. And then the motivation of this change is already being explained. And right.
Agreeable? Which company?
Just one.
Which company, please?
Spectrum. Thank you. Just one question about option B. I want to know the Geno B will know the RSRP is predict the RSRP or the measured RSRP, right?
Yes.
Without additional indicator.
Yes.
So the configured measurement for UE, the UE must measurement and
Yes.
get
Yes.
the RSRP. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
This one, please. MediaTek, okay.
Yeah, so just one minor comment on the change of the wording. So between for measurement and for inference, can we add a few words in the report configuration for inference? Yeah, there. In the report configuration for inference, because our understanding is that within a report configuration, there will be measurement for inference, and there may be measurement for like interference in the current CSI framework, and maybe in the future we may have measurement for monitoring. So if the predicted bins falls inside this measurement, then you can use the actual measure L1 RSRP for these bins. So we don't need to limit the L1 RSRP for measurement only for inference.
But it just does not matter. It related nothing to your proposal in a report.
Sorry?
Why we have to mention a report? It means a measurement in a report.
Yeah, it's in the report configuration.
In a report for configuration.
Yeah, in the report configuration for inference.
It is a common understanding. We need to configuration then say that it is for inference. Report is report. Do you think that it is the configuration will indicate it is for inference?
But the main bullet is talking about reporting for inference, right? So it must be a report configuration for inference.
Does not mean the report configuration has to include such kind of information, right? Resource configuration without this purpose, yes, does not mean the report configuration for inference. Do you think that we need to indicate such kind of information? Okay, it's report for inference. Configuration, just configuration does not indicate, is configuration just used for inference, right? Purpose. Yeah, Keith.
Yeah, two comments. I think the option B, predicted RSRP, if the beam is not configured for measurement, is sufficient because we have already report for measurement things in the first bullet. So you don't need to repeat everything here. So it's not configured for measurement. And the measured L1 RSRP, if the beam is configured for measurement, that's it. So whether it's inference, or we discuss that later on. So if it is configured for measurement, UE can measure. UE has L1 RSRP. If UE is configured to not measure it, it doesn't have L1 RSRP. It's a predicted one. So we can simplify by deleting those. And the question on what earlier, this labeling, to our understanding, option B don't need any extra labeling to differentiate whether it's predicted or measured. Okay, then we are aligned.
Helmut.
So we agree with the modification suggested by Nokia, which is, predicted if the beam is not configured for measurement, it's clean. So I think it's clear. And measured RSRP if it's configured for measurement. That's it. And inference, everything, even in the main bullet, for the report content of inference results. So we don't need to repeat everything. And then, so towards the end of the second bullet, is configured for measurement and delete for inference. Yes, and also the end of the sentence for inference, yeah, delete for inference. Yeah, thank you.
Oh.
I think it's more clear to have for inference, right? If this is just, I mean, what we are trying to say here, if it's in say B, then we can just report the measure as LRSRP. I mean, if we remove for inference, basically means if it's not in set B, but it's in set A, but and for example, for another purpose, for example, for monitoring, but it's measured like a long time ago, why do we need to report this as a measured L1 SRP?
Yeah.
I think, yes, just a language. Can we just simply say that it's not configured for the corresponding measurement? I think corresponding could refer to the main bullet for reference results, right? Can we say before the measurement, we can say for the corresponding measurement? I think, yeah, everything is crystal clear.
This one?
Yeah, the same, yeah.
The general question for this option A and option B. The only difference option A and option B is when the UE select the beam and the selected beam is corresponding to the measurement beam, already measured beam. So in this case, my expectation is that a predicted RSRP and measured RSRP has no big differences. So I just wonder whether network really need to know about whether this RSRP is a predicted one or measured one. Why this is so critical?
So based on offline, there is a case that some implementation may choose. In some implementation, the measured RSRP the bin has measured RSRP may not be predicted, or the prediction output is exactly the same as the measure. But in some other implementation, I won't call it wrong implementation, it's design choice. It may have some difference. So which one can, the reliability or how GNOB need to understand the RSRP need to be clarified.
But as long as UE can meet the ran4 requirements, it doesn't really matter whether it's a predicted one or
I agree, but
so,
in ran1 or ran2 spec 331, are we going to say the measurements meets the ran4 requirements for blah blah, or we just simply say it's full measured ran SRP?
So yeah. At this moment, we don't know whether ran4 can do this.
Right. That's the direction.
So we want to leave the possibility that we don't specify UE behavior for this case. Right. But
anyway,
that is option B or option A, I don't know, but
yes,
maybe
I think
we don't need to specify whether in this case whether UE
your
can
preference is in covered in option A.
Yeah, that was my original understanding, but companies may have
Yes,
different.
then we can discuss later.
Okay.
And if there are some unclear things for option B, we can also discuss later.
Okay.
It's for down selection.
Thank you, Chairman. As for option B, we would like to make further clarification. So if set C is the configured resource in the report config, but set B is the model inference. So with set B, you mean UE has to measure the beams in set C, but not in set B?
That is also for measured layer 1 SRP. As long as this resource or the bin has corresponding resource to be measured, that's measured for option B.
But UE doesn't need the layer 1 SRP of net beams for model input, right?
Yes, but you probably still need to measure something, right? Make some choice on which one to put into input. Anyway, this is a configuration for inference. GNOB will configure you some resource for measurement. And then if that happens to be the predicted bin, you just report this measurement other than predicted. That's the whole intention.
Maybe UE can just decide on the set B with the model. For example, it is
Yes. That's why we didn't mention anything about set B here.
If the model if the set B is the subset of set C and the UE.
There's no set B, no set C, just whether this bin has corresponding resource to be measured. That's it.
Yeah, just for the clarification between the difference of option A and B. In the option A, we just report the predict RSRP, and in the option B, we report both the predict and the measured. But there is a for one beam. Okay, so in option B, only pick the predict RSRP or the measured RSRP. That's the intention. Okay, thank you.
The Noah?
We also have a comment on option B. We just want to clarify whether whether the UE can report the predict RSRP or measured RSRP is determined by the UE itself or should be specified. So for the UE, at least the management, so the RSRP should always be selected from the beams configured at the channel mode CMR. So at least because you didn't want to mention that the set A or set B in this proposal, it implies that for set prediction. So there is no AI inference for this proposal for option B.
That is the top K, the major predict one, the select one happen on to be the.
So for option B, the predictor, if the reported RSRP is based on the measured RSRP, all the beams are all measured beams, not for inference beams.
If the UE has measurement results, just use it. Measured one always has a high priority than the predicted one. Please, David.
Yes, thanks, Chairman. I just have one question for clarification on option B. So in the reporting content, actually, we do not need additional indicator to indicate whether it is predicted or measured, right? That's a common understanding? Okay, thanks.
Okay, last comment, Future Way.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think this proposal is only applied to AI/ML model with the predict RSRP as the output. So can we add some text for the RSRP, like for AI/ML model with the predict RSRP as the output? Otherwise, this might imply that even for the model.
Let me check. Anyone share the same concern as you? Please raise your hand.
Yeah, but or we can add like for the definition of ISRP in the main bullet, because if without that, then it implies that ISRP is always reported with regardless of what kind of model is used.
What do we mean? Definition of ISRP.
In the main bullet, right now it says for the ISRP, we can say for the definition of ISRP.
That is ran1.
Just add when applicable and after this of inference results before the further study, when applicable. That's it.
Done. Hunter. What's the problem?
Yeah, I have one question about the option B. In my understanding, either predicted ISRP or measure L1 ISRP to be reported, then they are not the and, but the or, right? Is that common understanding? Because
If
here,
condition is non-overlapped, why there cannot be or?
because the condition is the same. One is E not configure, and another one is E configure.
When did you come in? When did you come in his room?
Long time ago.
Did you follow the discussion?
Yes.
But
And-
it is, has been repeated several times by several companies.
But my reading is that.
But yeah, that is, has already been clarified by several rounds.
So if the common understanding of the group
So there is only two cases. If there is a measurement, if there is no measurement, if there is measurement, then report the measurement. If there is no measurement, report the predicted. That's it. So
Then
it's end.
Okay, if you see the common understanding is fine to me. Yeah.
Okay, let's make it.
And then next one, hopefully easily, although we already, yes, this is mainly for BM case 2 and only predictor predictor RSRP is used for BM case 2.
Working
And
assumption?
as a working assumption, yes. Yeah, Huawei has some concern about this predicted. Maybe at that time before, yeah, maybe, I don't know, Huawei.
Thank you. May I?
Please.
I think this situation is different from the BM case 1, right? It's a future one, but let's say this future beam could be T0 plus T1, right? Or yeah, I think if we always use the predicted RSRP, then maybe it's less accurate than the measure one. Even that measure one is out of date, right? Because for example, if you predict a T0 or T plus 5, for example, then your measure beam is still valid. It's still accurate during this like a 5 millisecond, future 5 millisecond, right? But in that case, the predicted one should be also, I mean, replaced by the measure one. In that under the logic of the previous agreement. So that is why we think it is maybe too early to draw a conclusion that you know, the predicted RSRP should be the only choice for the BM case 2. I think we're not saying that we prefer what I have described, but we need further study.
Okay, let's have a dinner break.
It's working assumption. Should be okay.
Yeah, can you live with the working assumption?
Yeah.
No, I didn't. You proposed a working assumption. Can I have a double check?
What?
Predicted in, may I have a couple of seconds for double check? I haven't
Okay, please.
reviewed it yet. Okay, it's okay.
It just pretended to look at it, right? Thank you very much. Okay, let's have a working assumption. Have a happy ending for this session. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. We will have offline tomorrow morning, I guess. Official offline is early morning, I guess. The first one. And for tomorrow morning, I think we will fix about this configuration of set A and also continue the discussion about the overhead reduction.
OK，我还找另外人联系看看能联系到他们，都没见他们，他是说。Lobby? Thank you. Thank you. No, I think oh, I think